Hello, I'm Wayne Kerr, and I'm here with Sean O'Brien and Pete Bigler. We're all of Audit Watch, and we're here to help you understand a little bit more about the Audit Watch initiative. I'd like to start by talking about some of the common concerns that firms have that cause them to want to purchase this program. Pete, can you speak to what some of the concerns you've seen at firms are?
Well, Wayne, as you know, the most common concern that people come to us with, initially at least, is we spend too much time, right? You know, these new risk assessment standards came out, and we're just killing it, right? We're spend, all of our time in this planning process. It has not substantially changed our field work, our substantive procedures, and so we're just added time. And so that's the number one reason firms, at least initially, always contact us.
Right. Efficiency, realization, spending too much time. We're not making as much money as we used to.
Competing against our
any of those types
competitors.
of things. Right. Sean, anything that the firms have come to you with?
I see a lot with consistency. They want their work papers to look the same. They've got, especially in firms that have had acquisitions, they have certain firms still do it one way, certain do it another. Frankly, certain partners do it one way, do it another. And so this is a way to bring the entire firm together and have a very engaging discussion, open discussion, where they're going to be able to make decisions in the class as to here's how we're going to do it. Here's the approach we're going to take. And they're able to build consistency over the 2-day seminar by making some good decisions.
Okay, very good. When a firm is interested in the Audit Watch initiative, they might be curious to understand who's going to actually come out and deliver this product. What are our qualifications and background, so to speak? Sean, maybe speak a little bit to what your background is and what the rest of the consultants, who we are and maybe where we come from.
Sure. I had 13 years in public accounting, so a lot of what I come out and talk about are all the things that I made mistakes on in 13 years. Right. Learn from my mistakes, not from your own. And I've spent 5 years with Audit Watch and doing these kinds of classes, going out and working with firms, looking at their work papers and really bringing practical solutions to them. Our entire group, we all have public accounting background, a lot of years with Audit Watch. And I think the thing that brings value from us is that we have had access to a lot of different firms. We've seen a lot of good things that firms do, the best practices. We've also seen a lot of the not so good things and things that firms need to improve upon. So we're able to bring that to the table, and anybody at our group is able to bring that. Additionally, we all have certain specialties in industries, some different than others, but we utilize each other for that kind. Whoever has those competencies to reach out. I know you're more of an FI guy. And, if I have a question there, I'll reach out to you. Pete's a construction guy. So if I'm looking at a contractor, I'll call Pete and ask for suggestions and ask for things that I need to look at. So that our group in total can bring a lot of value to your firm.
Thanks. I really think that's one of the advantages of this program is that all of us, in addition to having experience and practice, we've looked at just a lot of files, right, over a lot of years, and we've seen what people are doing out there. Pete, if you had to explain to someone what this program was, how would you describe what the Audit Watch initiative is?
Well, I think the initiative is, the intent of which is to really kind of change the culture at the firm, right? And that's kind of the overriding aspect of it, is we need to change the way we think about audits, the way we perform audits, the way we review audits, the way we supervise audits. And so, the essence of the program is to kind of touch on all of those things, right? And to do that, we do lots of things to gather information first. Right, we kind of an information gathering phase on our part, so we can come in and talk about the specifics that we think would impact your firm.
Okay, very good. And Sean, in the way we describe the Audit Watch program, the Audit Watch initiative, is kind of in 4 distinct phases. Could you describe those phases?
Yeah, sure. Pete mentioned the understanding the client, like you do in an audit, like you're supposed to in an audit. And so we will gather information from 3 distinct areas. We'll have interviews with higher levels of management, a QC person, some line partners, maybe some managers or senior managers, because sometimes they're the ones that are out seeing exactly what's going on, Right. And so we'll interview them. We'll do surveys. We send surveys to all the participants that are going to come to the program. We ask questions about internal controls, analytics, and how well do you judge yourselves? How well do you think you do? And then, of course, we look at the work papers. And we take that information and we really summarize it into a scorecard. So we take the scorecard, and what's interesting, a lot of times you'll find that the surveys, the participants actually rate themselves higher than probably what we rate them in the work papers and what management rates them. And I think for them, they know they're getting the jobs done, they're getting the reports issued, they're getting the forms and checklists filled out, so we must be doing a good job. And not that they're not doing a good job, but management sometimes has a different view of where there's more room for improvement. And certainly we have a different view from looking at the work papers at times of specific areas where firms can really, enhance their productivity. So we deliver the scorecard to the management team, the group that's going to be sort of taking on the task force, if you will. And then we decide as a couple, what are we going to do? What kind of class are we going to do? It's a 16-hour class, and what's going to be best for you? So we'll customize the class. We have a number of options, and we'll decide what's best. And again, two-way conversation. If you say, I think we do pretty good at documentation. I say, I agree. Well, maybe let's do an hour on documentation, but let's take the time we normally would use. Maybe let's do more on internal controls.
So the client has a lot of input into how we shape the seminar based on the results from all of this.
Absolutely, and that's part of the scorecard presentation. We talk about it, and we figure out what's best. What's the best use of our time to come in front of you and spend 16 hours of CPE? The class itself is going to be, very practical. It's some theory, but we're gonna use actual work papers in the seminar, and I think that's what makes it a very distinct product. We're going to look at work papers, critique work papers, build on how to make them better work papers. And after the seminar, we have workshops that we'll do, half-day workshops where we sit down with the own audit team, and we go over their work papers, and we re-engineer their files. And the last thing that we do, the last phase sort of to end it all, is we have a follow-up meeting with that management group and say, so what did we accomplish? What's the momentum like? How are you going to judge success? And what kind of things they're going to do? If everybody, if they have a goal of cutting hours by X%, what happens if they do it? Okay, maybe there's a picnic in April after busy season. Some reward for them. And that's really up to that group. We found that over time, the firms that have the strongest group, the strongest task force, if you will, keep the momentum and make that culture change that Pete referred to. The ones that meet once with us and say, okay, thanks for coming, people tend to slip back into their old habits, and they lose that momentum.
So the 4 steps, we gather the information, we do a 2-day seminar, we do the workshops that you talked about, which is like re-engineering, replanning, and engagement, and then this meeting with top management to make sure they have a plan going forward.
And then for the most part, we're certainly open to phone calls and emails, and it's really a year-long process that we're involved. We're not going to be on site every week or anything like that, but we're involved. And if there's questions, if there's follow-up, oftentimes I'll sit in on periodic phone calls that task force has. If I'm available, I'll sit in, and if they have questions, they have them. If not, I'll just soak in. I want to make sure, one thing about Audit Watch, we were all brought up as client service professionals. Right. So it's just the way we operate. It's the way we know.
Very good.
Yeah, well, it's clearly consulting, not just a 2 days of CPE, right? We really want that mindset from the firm, and it's certainly our mindset as well, as this is an ongoing consulting product.
Yep. It's beyond training.
Beyond training.
Pete, well, you mentioned that. You've been doing this for a few years, going into firms and doing these kind of projects. What are some of the results that you've seen firms have? Yeah,
so as you said, I've been doing this for quite some time, since 2002, so we're into not the double digits yet, but quite some time. So again, we've been to, again, as a group and myself, literally hundreds of firms. The results vary, right? And that's our disclaimer, right? No guarantee of results. We're not going to guarantee you're going to cut X percent of hours, et cetera. But we have seen firms who have made significant, I don't hesitate to quantify that, but significant reductions in amount of time spent on their audits. We've also seen some reductions in times on review engagements, even though we might not even specifically talk about that. But some of the concepts apply to reviews, compilations, right? And they really make a change to their practice. Other firms maybe didn't do as well in reduction of hours, but a month later, 2 months later, 6 months later, you're talking with the managing partner or a QC person, and they're like, I know we didn't save any time, but I am so happy we did it because our quality is up substantially. Right. So again, it's really a two-pronged approach. Ideally, we'd like you to do both, quality and efficiency. But again, we tend to see results that vary and at times extremely significant.
Very good. All right. Thanks for listening. We hope this has been helpful.